Good morning and welcome, esteemed dignitaries and Board of Management. Today, I am truly delighted to welcome you all to the much anticipated event, Symposium on Artificial Intelligence here at India's Techade. Organized by Department of Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning and Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science at School of Engineering and Technology, WIPS-TC. Today, we have been gathered here to embark on a journey of a swiftly changing world of technology. It is the journey of deep tech, a new chapter bringing together science, engineering, and design thinking. Deep tech offers emerging technologies such as robotics, blockchain, quantum computing, and many others. When combined with each other and blended with a hint of engineering and design science, are making what's seemingly impossible possible. For this symposium, we have been graced with the presence of amazing speakers who are industry experts and going to light up the stage in few moments with their insights and experiences with us today. Let's have a huge round of applause for those guests and dignitaries present amongst us. Now, I request our Honorable Vice Chairman Vineet Sir to felicitate our distinguished guest speaker, Shri Azhar Saeed Sir, Global Chief Technologist at Red Hat Headquarters, USA. I would request Sir to please come on the stage. Let's have a huge round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Sir to extend a gesture of appreciation to our esteemed speaker, Shri Uday Raghunath Birje Sir, co-founder and director, ThinkStreet Technologies, Bengaluru. Let's have a huge round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir. We now invite our very own Honorable Chairman Dr. S.C. Vats Sir, Founder and Chairman Vivekanand Institute of Professional Studies, an educationalist and a great philanthropist, and indeed the backbone of WIPS-TC. I would request Sir to present the welcome address and officially convene the event. Let's have a huge round of applause for him.
Huge round of applause when they say huge round of. She's very energetic. There's a power in her speech. Very powerful speech. Very nice diction. She knows how to express herself. Can you give her a big applause? Everyone sitting at the back should give big applause for Azhar Saeed. Mr. Azhar Saeed is the chief guest today. For Mr. Uday Birje. And Ramesh also. So another esteemed guest, Ganeshi, we give a huge welcome to him. So human mind is the most engendered species that we can ever witness. It can cause a lot of devastation, destruction. What is happening in Ukraine and in Palestine, in Gaza Strip, it's something very horrifying. So human mind is the most dangerous thing that we have. And I read the book, Mind and Its Control, authored by one of the monks of the Ramakrishna Mission, who talked about mind and its different manifestations. How to control mind, how to sublime mind. And the artificial intelligence and all the machine learning and the technologies which are coming now, physics has already played havoc. Today, whatever you say, the nuclear holocaust, if possibly if it takes place, if it results into a third world war, you can imagine the extinction of the human species. So human species is the most threatened species on this planet. So that's why the Prime Minister, is one of his lectures, he suggested that we should employ ethical tools in artificial intelligence. And this is the most dangerous thing, this thing in your scalp. I'm duly protected by a scalp all around. What is encompassed within the skull is something very, very dangerous. And we should, each one of you, know how to control mind and its manifestations. Mind can play havoc. So is the artificial intelligence may not substitute human intelligence. It's the biggest threat today. And the threat is not just for human race. Maybe this planet can be threatened. I was reading about Google's, new no CT scan, no MRIs, no X-rays needed, nothing of the kind, no blood tests, no biochemistry. So what you need to do is to do a retinal scan, and they can tell you which gender you belong to, what are your social habits, whether you're a smoker or you're alcoholic, what's your age, which age group you fall in, and can predict for next 5 years whether you tend to develop a cardiac ailment or not. So you can imagine how deep it has peeped into the human intelligence and how deep it has peeped into the human body. Human anatomy is being challenged. Human physiology is being challenged. New pathological tools will have to come to rescue it. So human mind is the most endangered species today, is the most threatened today. You're the most beautiful thing inside, but the most dangerous thing, most destructive thing. And that's why I say certain amount of judicious application, a very sensible application of each and every of these technologies which are coming forward, which come in the garb of helping mankind. But how far is the mankind helped? How far do they substitute human actions? And how far, I was reading through one of the books that now book writing will become very easy. The entire text can be written on your behalf. The title of the book also can be decided through artificial intelligence. Proofreading can also be done through artificial intelligence. And the title of your book, what it's going to be, how it's going to shape, can be predicted by artificial intelligence. So then where is the human intelligence? Where is the human intelligence? Where is that element of compassion? Where is that element of care, concern, which a human alone can manifest? अजहर भाई आए हैं ऐसा सही सब ऐसा लगा जाता है हमारे अजरुद्दीन आ गए और ये इस फील्ड के अजरुद्दीन है. He'll be betting here for the rest of the session. But let me tell that Human species is the most engendered species on earth. This mind is both ways, creative and destructive. It is. So it's the opposite and the reverse of the same coin. You turn it around, it can be very, very helpful and creative. गीता में लिखा है ना कि वही मस्तिष्क है, सोच है, वो बंधन का कारण बनती है और वही मोक्ष का कारण बनती है. आपके चिंतन पर है, आप उसको मोक्ष के लिए इस्तेमाल करते हैं कि आप उन्हें बंधन क्रिएट करने के लिए करते हैं. You are capable of creating both. You can liberate yourself from the bondages of the life, and you can also create bondages by this mind itself. So mind itself is a very destructive thing. So Mind is Control is a beautiful book written, authored by one of the monks. And when I listen to some of these Sufi, Abida Parveen, I listen so much. Such thought-provoking, sublime ideas, and they arise from the surface of this mind. How soothing effect it has. So are we really brilliant? Are we really intelligent? Or do we want to live on artificial intelligence and know your own intelligence? And this artificial intelligence has to enter your minds and brain. How does it make an entry into how to entertain on your mind? It will depend how you entertain. Whether you take it in a positive sense or a negative sense. Whether you want to create a bondage, be dependent on it, create more despondency on it, or you want to be independent and you want to use it as a tool for human welfare and not for human destruction. So I, on behalf of the management, extend a very hearty welcome to Mr. Azhar Saeed, Ganeshi, and my very, very dear younger brother, Uday Birjaji, who leads Think Street, and he leads everything technology by the front foot. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Your words were indeed illuminating and broadened our perspective to aim higher, work harder, and strive for greatness. Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies has steadfastly cultivated the future vanguards of technology, nurturing their potential. To enlighten us about WIP's profound involvement in deep technology, please join me in giving a resounding round of applause to Professor Dipali Vilmani Ma'am, Dean of VSENT.
Good morning, all of you. Good morning, sir. So, as a task assigned to me for this symposium was to tell about the WIPs in deep tech. This will be a brief journey that I will share with you. In engineering, we are too young. We started our first batch in 2021, and at this stage, we are having our third-year students. Now, our last year batch is in third year we are having, and for BTech we are having 5 courses. We are offering BTech in Computer Science, BTech in Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, BTech in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, Internet of Things, and recently we have started with BTech in VLSI, that is Electronics with VLSI Designing. So at VSET, that is Vivekananda School of Engineering and Technology, we have some ethos. That ethos are, we fan in the curiosity of the students, we nurture their creativity, we give them capability so that they can contribute to the society. So that is, we have a project-based learning. Our pedagogies are to enhance the learning, teaching learning of the students, to make them work hands-on on the things. So how we are different? First of all, we are having a state-of-art infrastructure. If I talk about state-of-art infrastructure, that is, we are having modern facilities, well-equipped classrooms, cutting-edge labs, comprehensive library, computer center, auditorium, ensuring a holistic learning experience for the students. पीछे पीछे हाँ. That is, we are having experienced faculties. So if I say that we teach the students with the recent pedagogies, for that we have a strong backbone that are our experienced faculty members. We are having a team of 39 faculties as of now, and most of them I say that is more than 37. We are already PhDs, that are doctorate holders, and 2 are just pursuing and on the final stage. They have submitted, but the awarding is rest. Uday Viji sir is our professor of practice, so we are just getting the knowledge and the sessions from him also, guidance how to move further in this direction. So we are having the abundance research opportunities. As I was sharing with you in the round, we are motivating our students to write the research papers. At present, more than 50 students have published their research papers in various national and international conferences. This is only for the students I am telling who are publishing their papers with the help of, with the guidance of the faculty members. Faculty publication is separate from that. We are having industry collaborations, distinguished speakers and events we are organizing time to time. Different speakers, experts in the various domains come and visit us, guide our students, enhance their knowledge. We are future focused. We are having the capstone projects and a comprehensive curriculum. As I said that we are dealing with the emerging technologies, so curriculum is different from that of the previous branches. As per the curriculum, I say in the 5th semester students, till 5th semester, they have completed their C, C++, their Java, their object-oriented concepts. They have done with the data structure, they have done with the algorithms, they have done with Python, they have done with DBMS, and presently they are dealing with algorithms and operating systems. So till end of this semester, we will be done with all the technologies that are required for the placement perspective. And from 6th semester onwards, the specialization in these core branches will begin with. So as I told, we are having the experienced faculty. I have shared all our PhD holders. These are just an overview of our labs. We have visited all these labs also. So again, I shared with you the research opportunities. Our students are publishing their papers, they are writing the chapters for the books. Faculty members are motivated, they are guiding the students to write research papers. And at present, our 5 students have already filed their patents. Among them, 2 have already been published and rest are in the filing stage. So we are nurturing the curiosity and creativity of the students so that they can get the research, they can get the success in various domains. So this is a glimpse of the projects and the areas our students are doing. You can see the students are doing the projects in the recent technologies of machine learning and predictive analysis. These are the projects that have been done by the students, that is assistance for helping the Alzheimer patients using machine learning technology. Parkinson's disease detection, that is again using machine learning technology. Predictive analysis of stress, anxiety and depression through social media. We follow the tweets and we analyze the tweets. They see the sentiment analysis, and all these parts is done again through AI and machine learning technologies. The cancer diagnosis using deep learning, again medical data analysis, because we are dealing with data science, so we tell the students how to play with data. We tell how to get the insights of data. We teach them in the classes how to create the data sets, how to get the meaningful insights from the data, which information is to be hidden, if the missing values are there, how the missing values can be generated. All these things are being taught to the students in the curriculum part. And sign language recognition projects. All these are latest technologies, as you can say. All these use AI, machine learning, data science, and sentiment analysis. Again, the students are doing the projects in the crypto, blockchain, video gaming. We are having the fake identity detection methods. We are dealing with your video games. The students are making the video games. They are creating the avatars so that they can be trained through using AI models. Again, this is fake news detection. They are already doing AQI prediction, in the air quality index prediction is already being done. Healthcare projects, many healthcare projects have been done, and most of the projects done by the students have been showcased in the recent activity, or that was our G20 summit we organized in the month of September. Again, the recommendation system students are doing. So if you give them some LORs, random LORs, if the LORs given to the students, and they can generate the prediction and they can give the recommendation whether the student should be admitted to the university or not. We have taught this recommendation system to the students for the projects. Your spam filtering, your email detection, spam filtering, all these have been done by the students. So I will just show a 1-minute video to you for the glimpse of the projects and the method that students are using. This is a drone that has been made in-house by the students. For this drone, we have changed the use case. We use the flower shower through this drone. We welcome the flower guests by the flower showering the flowers. And with this, when they have done this, now our students could apply for a problem statement on the Smart India Hackathon platform. That is in the flood areas or in the drought areas, they can drop the food articles. Their problem has been submitted in the Smart India Hackathon. So recently we have organized a hackathon also, and from our school 56 students have submitted their problems in the Smart India Hackathon on the government portal. They would be competing for the next steps. So this is a brief how we are dealing with the technology part. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, it's a privilege to introduce a dynamic personality present amongst us to share his enriching words on future of work, impact of artificial intelligence, and employment trends. He is not only a seasoned professional, but also a visionary in the world of technology and telecommunications. He is an active contributor to various open source communities, including XGVela, Educate, and Magma. He also holds a board position at the Magma Foundation, where he has been instrumental in pioneering initiatives like virtualized central office architecture, groundbreaking Educate community projects. His work has successfully showcased the first cloud-native 5G network and illustrated how central offices can be virtualized and cloud-enabled, offering a more cost-effective approach to delivering residential, business, and mobile services. With over 25 years of experience, this dynamic personality extended contributions beyond his professional roles. 9 patents and the author of the book MPLS and Next Generation Networks, Foundations for NGN and Enterprise Virtualization. Introducing Azhar Saeed Sir, a distinguished professional in the field of networking and telecommunication, serving as the Chief Technologist Officer at Red Hat Headquarters, United States. I would request Sir to address the gathering. Let's have a huge round of applause for him.
No, you have to connect it. You have to connect this one. No. Can you hear me okay? Can you turn this on? Yep. Good morning. Everybody's awake? Yes? All right. First of all, I'd like to express my deep appreciation and thank you to the chairman, Dr. Watts, to the board, and to the committee that's sitting here, and to the dean of the school. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, because it's through this process that I learn. And I'm a lifelong learner myself, and it's only that when I meet more people and I understand what's going on, it actually gives me a different perspective about everything. So I really, really appreciate this, and I deeply say thank you very much. Now, to the students, consider yourselves lucky. Consider yourselves really privileged. I know you're all here to listen to a lecture and to learn something. But you know what impressed me the most were the words of your chairman. When he stood up there and said, you know what, human mind is the most dangerous thing, or probably the most rare thing. You can actually figure out a way to steer it in the right direction, or you can actually, go completely rogue with it. I thought that was absolutely stunning, amazing, and also something that really came from a deep thinker, a philosopher. I really love that because I'm going to try to relate to that statement as part of my presentation when we talk a little bit about what artificial intelligence is really doing and how this helps. So let's move to the next slide. So what I tried to do was organize this presentation into, just a few sets of components. Briefly, we'll talk about some introduction. We'll look at something called Gen AI. I'm sure you know what Gen AI means. We'll look at some of the industry and open source projects because one of the things we have to do is, just like the papers that you guys have published already and the work that you've already done, there is a way to collaborate with a bigger community that's outside of this ecosystem. And actually, some of those open source projects are really instrumental in driving that change, that delta change. My favorite project that I've been working on these days is something called autonomous infrastructure. Now, when you say about autonomous infrastructure, I'm not talking about the physical infrastructure. You already know about self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles and all of that stuff. No, my aim is to build an autonomous infrastructure that includes telecommunications and IT that can operate elastically on demand to the needs of the subscriber, to the needs of the users, and to the needs of the type of services that you need to be able to offer. So I'll talk briefly about that particular project. But one other interesting thing that's really important in the context of artificial intelligence is what I call as autonomy and governance. And that's really critical, and that's where I'm going to relate to the doctor's statement about human mind. Without governance, without, a set of defined capabilities and rules, you are not going to be able to achieve what you need to achieve and drive it in the right direction. That is using technology for the purpose of, betterment of humanity. That's really important. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll wrap up with the conclusion. Next slide, please. So, often we get asked this question, what is the difference between analytics and AI? Can anybody tell me? And just raise your hand if you know the answer. No? Come on. I need you to be more responsive. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Next one. So, we all generate data. Humans, machines, Some of you, I just saw your IoT lab. That was really impressive. You have lots of tools within that IoT lab. And what are these? These are sensors, devices that are generating data. Data by itself, if it generates something, you store it somewhere, you won't get anything out of it if you just don't do anything with it. You can store data. You can, just put it into whatever type of storage that you have. But you won't get anything out of it if you just store it and keep it there, or if you just throw it away. The data is only meaningful when you start to analyze it. When you start to analyze it, what do you come up with? You come up with what you call as interpretations. Now, by applying different algorithms to that particular data, and doing analytics, you come up with certain types of interpretations. Those interpretations drive us to certain conclusions. Now, that is what is called, reactions. So an interpretation will cause a reaction, and that reaction within our brain is that we actually internalize that and say, this is what this means, and hence, maybe now I'm open to taking an action associated with it. Right? So those interpretations lead to reactions. Now, when reactions happen, you can plot something called a trend line, historical trend line. Now, when you plot a historical trend line, you say, okay, this happened, this was the interpretation, this happened, next, this happened, and then next. So now you've plotted some points. Now you're going to find the line of best fit. When you find that line of best fit, now what you can do is you can do projection. When you do a projection, how meaningful that particular projection is, that's what's prediction, right? You're predicting something that didn't happen, that did not exist. That particular prediction is where really artificial intelligence can help us. It can help us be more accurate with respect to prediction. Now, some of the oldest, strategies that we use in terms of prediction is what? Linear regression analysis. Anybody learn linear regression analysis? Yes? Somebody says yes. Thank you. Thank you for that response. Right? So we use that. We use different types of NP-complete problems. You know what NP-complete problems are? Anybody know that? Come on. You're computer science students. Okay? NP-complete problems are problems that you don't have full solutions for. There are different heuristics that you can apply for those type of solutions. Right? So based on what algorithm you apply, based on what you do, those things actually lead to certain types of outcomes. Those outcomes are those predictions. Now, how accurate they are, what artificial intelligence can really do is help us with that. So now do you get a feeling for what's the difference between data analytics and artificial intelligence? Does that make sense so far? You with me or still sleeping? Okay, next one please. Recognize this. This is not my signature, by the way. Anybody recognize this graph? Anybody seen this graph before? Yes? Somebody said yes. Love it. Give me the answer.
Artificial graph of radiator?
Okay, no. Good guess, but no. All right, one click. Just one click. Now do you recognize this graph? It's divided into 5 segments. No? One more click. Now do you recognize this graph? Yes? No? Yes?
I don't know for sure, but it's just from that book. Because there's a similar graph in the book Atomic Habits.
Okay.
Sort of.
No. All right. Look, one thing I have to tell you before I move to the next click of this graph. Your professors can probably teach you the best, theory, the best algorithm, the best math, and the best ability to analyze that. I cannot compete with them. I am not here to teach you that. So I'm not here to tell you what the atomic number should be or what the mathematical model should be, whether you should use, Gaussian parameters or whether you should use normal distribution or some other distribution. That's not what I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how to apply what you've learned in the context of how industry takes that. And so in the industry, as you move from your college experience to an industry experience, you will need to apply what you've learned here in college in terms of how you build those mathematical models, how you interpret that particular data, how you actually take it to market. Now, next click, one more click. Now do you recognize this graph? Based on that thought, in terms of what I just described, now do you recognize this graph? Yes? No? All right. This graph was actually first published with this particular parameters by Gartner. Anybody know what Gartner is? Gartner is a market research agency. They do technology research. Implementation of technology in the market, implementation of technology in the industry, and they publish every year something called the Gartner Hype Cycle. That's what this is. Every technology that comes to market, doesn't matter what it is. It's 5G, it's 4G, it's AI, it's machine learning, it's data analytics, doesn't matter. It goes through a hype cycle. And this is called the Gartner Hype Cycle. The first phase of the Gartner Hype Cycle is what is called as the innovation trigger. That's where innovation's happening. That's where you're building up things, you're coming up with new things. Then as that innovation happens, the industry lobbies around that particular innovation. And then everybody hypes it up. Everybody says, oh wow, this is going to solve all my problems. Right? 5G was launched a year ago in India. Did you notice a difference on your phone with respect to 5G? Yes? Anybody say yes, please? No. I didn't either. I've been using 5G for 3 years. I didn't either. What happened? It's a hype. The hype that takes it up, because now people want more investment. People want more participation. People want more collaboration. So you go through what you call as a peak of inflated expectations. And then right after that, what happens is, well, then the reality sets in. It says, oh, wait a minute, this really didn't work what I was expecting. But you know what? Then you go through what is called as a trough of disillusionment. Once you get there, then things start to become a little bit more mature. And then you start to begin to see the real value of things. When you see those real value of things, that's when you're on the slope of enlightenment. And then the technology goes into a mature phase. It's broad application, broad deployment models for that. And you go to the plateau of productivity. So every technology goes through this. Next slide, please. So now you can look at the different components of AI, where they sit in the hype cycle. Where is Gen AI on this? Notice where Gen AI is. How many of you use ChatGPT? Good. What do you use it for? Assignments? Right? What else? Anybody just use it for curiosity? Good. What type of curiosity? What are you curious about? Yes?
I like to see what all would be the responses of ChatGPT in terms of conditions aligned with the company. And I can try out all the various possibilities or the questions I can ask, and then I check what all would it give. It gives for most of the questions. It gives it is breaching the company's violation and for publication policies.
Excellent. Good job. Nice way of utilizing a piece of technology. So what we're doing then is, well, ChatGPT is an example of Gen AI. It's generating something new from the model and the data that it was given and that it was trained on. So you can actually use ChatGPT to write a letter to your grandma in the old English, model. Right? The Shakespearean English model. You can do that. ChatGPT will probably write them the most beautiful letter. How was it developed? Large language model research has been happening in the industry for more than a decade. There were many bits and pieces of software that came well before this. Speech analysis, language analysis has been around for a long time. I mean, I'm sure we all got introduced to Siri. We all got introduced to Cortana. These are all different components of large language models, right? And they're used differently. What ChatGPT really did was provided using a public project with OpenAI, started generating new things instead of just analyzing and responding. So an Alexa, a Cortana, or a Siri is an analysis and response behavior. You tell it something, it analyzes, and then it responds back. Hey Alexa, play this, right? Now, what ChatGPT did was instead, it could create content in new form, which is where the Gen AI technology is really leading into. Now, the point that I was trying to make is now all of the things, some of the things that you're learning, machine learning, analytics, you now have a BTech program in that. Where is that in the hype cycle? You're catching it at the right time. So for those graduates who are actually going through that, congratulations to you. I look forward to seeing you in the industry with your experience, with your learning, to actually contribute more meaningfully. Next one, please. So what are different technology trends? I mean, actually, I was quite impressed by the labs that I saw, and especially the presentation from the dean on different types of projects you've done in healthcare, and particularly using AI. Data analytics, of course, we already know about it. I don't need to tell you anything more. Machine learning and deep learning is another one that you have actually a degree program here on. You know what? Even if you're not taking that particular degree and you're still part of computer science, take a course. Even if you have to spend an extra semester, do it. You will learn something. You learn something new, something completely different. Right? It is really good. Natural language processing also, we spoke a little bit about. One thing I don't know whether you noticed on the previous slide was computer vision. Believe it or not, 30 years ago, or maybe even more than 30 years ago right now, now I'm aging myself when I say this. 32 years ago was the first time somebody actually did a computer vision project as part of their BTech degree, in the fourth year as the capstone project. That was one of my colleagues, in Hyderabad. By the way, I'm from Hyderabad. I'm from Osmania University. And he did that project. And that gentleman, he lives in Bangalore right now. He, was recently the vice president of Accenture operations, Gopal Sharma. He's a very close friend of mine. The reason why I bring up his name is because he did that work on computer vision in terms of recognizing objects 32 years ago. He went on to do his PhD at U Michigan Ann Arbor. And after that, he started working for IBM with Watson Group. The story in this is that when he started to work with IBM and Watson, you know what he did? He started working on recognizing and interpreting object movement. Guess where that was used first? His work. Come on. What tracking? Close, but not that. Guess, come on, guys. I need you to be more interactive. On purpose, I'm going slow. I need you to talk. You know where that was used? For the first time, it was used in ball tracking. Where in ball tracking? Tennis. Ball tracking was introduced in tennis first, to actually find out if the ball was over the line or not. After that, where did it go? Cricket. You know this DRS system that we have today in cricket? That ball tracking, that was his work. Baseline work, his original work, in terms of object movement and tracking. What do you do there? First you analyze where the object is moving. Then you build a bunch of parameters into it, the rotation, the spin, the speed, the direction. You have multiple vectors. You take those multiple vectors, you analyze, then what do? You predict. Right? Isn't that what DRS today is? By the way, how many of you have a complaint about DRS? It never works. It doesn't show the proper spin. You all have heard the pundits on the TV, right? But it's an amazing piece of technology. Where did it start? It started with computer vision. Where was computer vision on my previous slide on the hype cycle? Almost to the plateau of maturity. What I'm trying to tell you is sometimes it takes some technologies a long time. Sometimes it takes some technologies a really short time. Computer vision is now extensively used in quality control, in production lines. You don't even know. You want to figure out there's a hairline crack in that aluminum sheet. You're not going to be able to detect it. You're not going to be visually inspect it. You can use computer vision to do that. You can use infrared vision to understand if there is a problem in the aerospace industry, right? To detect material degradation. So those are different areas. Of course, you already know about industrial automation. I think we briefly spoke about that. And you are doing some really good work in healthcare, so I don't need to probably talk about this. But drug research is another big area where now AI is increasingly being used, in particular to provide predictions on clinical trials of drugs. Drugs go through a development phase, a clinical trial phase, and then they go through, the actual, then they get approved, certified by the FDA, and then they actually go into production. So the cycle, why do drugs cost so much? An Alzheimer's drug or a cancer drug or an HIV drug, why do they cost so much? Because of the research expenses, exactly right. The amount of expenses that, the amount of time and effort that's required to develop a drug takes very long time. even the clinical trial component of that is at least 2 to 3 years before, and then they find out, oh, guess what? This drug didn't work. And then everything goes down the drain and you start again. So because of the amount of money those drug companies spend, they need to have certain amount of return on that. And that's why that becomes, it's very expensive. So what did the law do about that? They said, okay, you can hold that drug patent for a certain number of years, after which the patent is generally available so that anybody can do it. So that's why it takes a long time for the drug that's available in the market first to the time that it's actually a generic version of it is available. Now, if you can shrink that time to a smaller space, what will happen? Exactly. It will allow availability of drugs to people sooner. These are the places where artificial intelligence can really, really help. Adaptive learning, right? How many of you have heard of the word dyslexia before you saw the movie Tare Zameen Par? No, we didn't know about dyslexia. I didn't, at least, until I landed in the US. And that was another 27 years ago. I didn't know what dyslexia meant. I just thought, oh, somebody didn't pick up what the teacher's teaching. And then, of course, there was a movie and everybody's now aware of it. But the point I'm trying to make is, can we actually create a system that allows you as a student to learn, and increase the complexity of what you learn and adapt to your learning pace? So rather than you go sit in a class and the teacher throws, something on the wall and all of you have to do it and you do the assignment, you walk away, have you really learned? So can we actually introduce new capabilities, new methodologies, new processes, and use artificial intelligence to actually create a model that allows students to learn in a better way? Collaborative research is another one. Last example I'll give you is in consumer space. Can anybody give me an example of how AI works in consumer space? Especially I'm interested in those students who are third-year students in the, AI's degree. Yes?
The data which is on which the AI trains, it actually tries to figure out what are the favorites or the choices which the consumer has. Like we know about Netflix, the mechanism of the Netflix, it shows us suggestions. Those are based on the likeness and favorites of the person which is viewing.
Good.
So that data collection and all AI.
Good. What is Netflix really doing? What is Facebook doing? What is TikTok doing? What is Google doing? It's keeping track of what you do historically and it builds a profile of what you do, and based on the profile, it's now guessing what you think you will like, what they think you will like. That guessing is where they apply their algorithms, their learning algorithms. So they're learning based on your random selection of videos to begin with. And if you want to really do something and experiment yourselves, do the following. Delete your history on the browser, right? Delete all the cookies. Go to YouTube and turn off the history of YouTube. First, delete the history of YouTube. Turn off the history of YouTube. And now try to open YouTube every time. What is it going to do? It's going to give you a random selection of videos on YouTube. And funnily enough, that random selection of videos changes not with your machine. It changes with your location. And then you start clicking on those videos, then it starts to build a profile again. And the next time you open the computer, it'll show you something which is related to what you clicked on. Now, cheat the system. Click on some, random sets of videos and then see what happens next time you close the system and you open it, and then delete it again and try to start all over again. It's a very interesting experiment. You can actually figure out what Google is really trying to do. What YouTube is trying to do. It's trying to optimize for itself. It's trying to see how many eyes can they get, how many clicks can they get. Based on that eyes and the clicks, what do they do? What do they do? Ads. They monetize it. They monetize that particular piece of information. So they are optimizing it for themselves. Now imagine you as a student, as a researcher, as a degree holder, now start to work on something that can actually optimize content for you. Can you do that? I'm sure you can. That's exactly, these are the examples, these are the areas, these are the work, where AI can be really, really helpful and beneficial. Let's talk a little bit about Gen AI next. So if we take Gen AI is really a subset of the overall AI field. Within the AI space, you got analytics, then you got machine learning, then you got something called deep learning. Anybody familiar with deep learning? Yep.
Deep learning is basically processing information as humans. In deep learning, we use neural networks as we have in our brains.
Great. Fantastic answer. What is a neural network? Can't hear you, sorry. It's okay.
It has some hidden layers.
Okay.
Which are made up of multiple neurons.
Okay. Good. That's a good answer.
So it is a collection of artificial neurons, like we basically pass the data which we pass through the artificial neuron, and each of the neuron processes it differently, and the final combined result is then provided to the user.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So it is basically a collection of what we call as quote-unquote artificial neurons, right? An artificial neuron mimics brain neuron behavior. And in that brain neuron behavior, what do? How do you store, how do you have a memory in the brain? It's basically a connective pattern of neurons. That's your memory. Neurons can connect in many, many different ways through electrical signals, right, in your brain. And you create something, and you store it. And something gets now triggered to evaluate that. You can actually replicate that same pattern with something called neural networks. And that's, you just now saw some very good explanation of what a neural network is. Funnily enough, the work on neural networks has been going on for 30 years. And even more. Guess where first neural networks were used in? It's a field, it's something that I'm going to relate back to what you guys do today. Neural networks were first used in VLSI chip design. What was the problem they were trying to solve there? Placement optimization. Yeah? In VLSI chip design, very large scale integration for semiconductors, you got to pack more and more what? Transistors on the chip. When you pack more and more transistors on the chip, what are some of the problems that you run into? Heat, routing, what else? Discharge problems, leakage currents, right? So what do you have to do? You have to actually place these components in such a way that you minimize that. And as chip design shrinks, in terms of going now from 0.9 to 0.7 and so on, it becomes a much more complicated problem. So optimization and placement of those different components on the wafer becomes incredibly critical. And you actually use neural nets to model that. That's where we started the whole neural net theory. Now we're using the neural net theory in a completely different context. So isn't it amazing that technology gets developed for a certain thing and now you start to apply it in a completely different direction? Next one, please. Now, here's some application of different Gen AI in different components in the area, in the high-tech, banking, pharma, education, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, consumer goods, etc., etc. And this is actually a slide that was done by, it's one from one McKinsey study in terms of the economic report for AI. The point I'm trying to make is there's a broad application of AI in different industries. And you can potentially take any sets of problems and apply the technology to solve that particular problem. Next one, please. And here are some other examples of Gen AI. Text generation. I'm sure you've experimented with other things such as image generation. Anybody experimented with image generation? Yes? Found something interesting? No? Expected, unexpected? Yes?
I use Midjourney to create posters.
Posters, yes. It's actually a very nice way to do it. Anybody used it for code generation? I'm sure you guys use ChatGPT for code generation. Did it work? How good was the code?
Initial generations were good, but now whatever it generates based on libraries and it's not that good.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting observation.
The code is as good as the prompt.
Right.
Depends on the prompt you are writing.
Have you found that it changes as you provide more input? You can fine-tune it. Yes, you can fine-tune it. What does that tell you?
Like the more the number of parameters that you give it, and the better and the more classified the information it will do.
That's one. What else does it tell you?
It's learning.
Learning, it's learning, right? First, it's just not about the quantity of parameters, but it's also becoming better and better over a period of time, right? It's evaluating that, it's becoming better over a period of time, and it's giving you better responses back based on what you've expressed. So where is this really taking you to? It's taking you to, what Gen AI really does is look at what is the intent of the question. And can I answer to the intent of the question? Otherwise, what you've been doing is what? Action, reaction, right? Question, response. You input something, you get an output. There are many, many tools that are available today that actually do that. What does Grammarly do? It checks your syntax. Basically a simple tree, you check it and you say there are certain set of rules, it checks against the rule. You violated this rule, no, you can't do this, here's a suggestion I'm going to do. Simple way. You can build actually your own parser, a parser tree for language. And you can actually build your own Grammarly if you want to. You can do it, it's not too difficult. It's just laborious. You have to work at it, but to achieve that accuracy that Grammarly provides is going to take you time. You can build a 70% accurate model easily. To get from 70% to an 80% accurate model, it requires some effort. From an 80% to a 90% accurate model requires a lot more effort. And from 90 to then 99, it's huge amount of effort. What I was getting to in terms of the example that I gave you was, the model is really important. And a small delta incremental, improvement in the model can actually have a significant impact on the output. And that's what you should be thinking about. That's what you should be, really worried about. Then there are several other things: anomaly detection, data augmentation. I don't need to probably tell you some of these are, compliance checks. This is an area of a lot of work that's happening in terms of compliance, analyzing contracts, analyzing documents, analyzing, language, because now you have an LLM model, you can analyze language and you can tell you, hey, this contract is flawed. It doesn't work. How many of you really like the contracts the lawyers actually put up? Do you really understand it? Although we all have a technical degree, me too, I never ever understand what the legal language is. And what is it really trying to say? But if I had a tool that would actually, if I could just input my contract and say, hey, am I protected through this particular contract? The answer is yes, great, I can trust it. Correct? Next one, please. So those are some interesting things, but there are also some challenges associated with Gen AI, and we'll talk about those challenges later on, right? So all of these different benefits that you see in terms of content creation, cost-effective optimization, route optimization, anomaly detection, rapid prototyping. Another place where AI is rapidly being used these days is what is called as digital twin. Anybody heard of that before? Digital twin. So what you do is you actually create a twin of the physical space in the virtual world. Anybody do Second Life? Gaming? Come on guys, admit it, it's okay. No? Nobody knows what Second Life is? Second Life was the first version of a virtual space. Nowadays, of course, there are so many other games, Sims and this and that, that's used. And of course, now you can use, all of these PS4 games, and you can see all of that. Anybody into gaming here, first of all? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, okay. So you can create a virtual space that mimics exactly the physical space. The idea of creating that particular virtual space is to provide familiarity, train people. So let's suppose you have a hazardous environment in a factory floor. You want to be able to train the person before the person walks into the factory floor without actually causing any accidents. You can actually create a digital twin of that. You can do analysis. You create a tall structure, create a digital twin of the tall structure, run it through the environmental conditions in the digital world to understand what happens. What's the sway? What's the movement? What's the, are these elements that are going to understand the stress? Can they take that? You simulate it. And then when you simulate it, then you can actually then implement it in the physical world. So that's actually really an interesting area of work, and there's a lot of innovation that's happening in all these different spaces. There are definitely a lot more challenges and concerns as well in the context of AI. Over-reliance on these. Where do you draw the line between where your mind is, what do you think with your gut feeling, with your logic, with your capability, and where do you actually now allow the machine to take over and run with it? So things like, misaligning expectations. Now people say, oh, AI is going to take all of my jobs away. I don't know. How many of you believe that, first of all? AI is going to take all of my jobs away. A few do, yes. Look, what happens when any new technology gets introduced? Right? Fear, exactly right. Our first gut reaction is fear takes over. And then we try to understand that piece of technology and then look at where it needs to be implemented, how it needs to be implemented, and then we take that, and then we come to terms with it. So you find what is called as an equilibrium point. That equilibrium point is important, and then something new gets introduced, and you start to move again, and then you find the next equilibrium point. That's really critical. So no technology you can actually say, well, it's going to be completely bad. You really have to understand the implications of it, and then you have to understand how to adapt and how to adopt. Difference? You need to learn first how to adapt to it, and then you need to learn how to adopt that in your work. Next one, please. Let's briefly, very quickly talk about some of the different open source projects. I actually see that you're already working in some really interesting areas, particularly around healthcare and around using AI for certain components. Next one. There are several different open source projects that are happening. What I encourage you to do is participate in those open source projects. Even as a hobby, sit in those meetings. If there is a way you can attend those meetings, if there's a local hackathon that's happening, go participate in that local hackathon. You can code, you can be part of the hackathon. It doesn't matter what they're discussing. It matters that you learn and get that exposure for yourselves. That is critical. You can get involved in an open source project by not necessarily contributing to the code. You can get involved in an open source project just by providing, some help around documentation of that particular project. You'll be listed as one of the contributors. So there are different such type of open source projects: Kubeflow, MLflow, PyTorch, TensorFlow, Jupyter, Spark, Operator Hub. Actually, if you haven't done it at all today, if you don't know about it, go look at Open Data Hub. Open Data Hub is an excellent project where you can actually get ML as a service, machine learning as a service. It's based on some components that Red Hat is invested in. Doesn't matter whether Red Hat or no Red Hat. I come from Red Hat, but that's okay, right? Kafka, messaging, Jupyter Hub. You know what Jupyter Hub is? What Jupyter Notebook is? Yep. Good. So, and Spark, Apache Spark. So it's actually, a curated data set, anonymized, that you can actually use to look at how good your model is, or to train your model. Use it, all right? Next one, please. And these are some other various different projects: PyTorch, TensorFlow, Keras, Open. There is an OpenAI's GPT API. One is, of course, you use through their interface in terms of ChatGPT. There are APIs available. You can use that API with your own data set and actually create an app yourselves. Don't wait, do it, right? Apache MXNet, Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit, next one. And then there are other things such as FastAI. How many of you played with OpenCV? Anybody played with OpenCV? Yes, what did you do with it? Yep. Facial recognition. Good job. What did you do with it? Back, last row. Yes. You did that also. Anybody tried object tracking with OpenCV? Yes. What happened? Okay, good job. I would urge you to try it. It's very simple. It's very easy. You got Python, you got libraries there, use your own webcam, load it, and you can play around with it. And then set it up in your dining table. Whenever your grandma walks around, you can recognize grandma's face and say, "Hi, grandma." I'm sure she'll be delighted. I'm sure she'll get a smile on her face. The point I'm trying to get across to you is, there are tools, they are very, very simple. You are in this domain, build it, learn it. Don't just rely on what's in the textbook and what's in the homework assignment. You will get far more experience from that in terms of building it and learning through this process. Next one, please. Now, there are different projects that are there in terms of the public cloud. If you have access to them, I would encourage you to do this. I don't know if there's a program here from the university to provide, some collaboration with public cloud, whether it's AWS, Azure, or Google, but they have different toolkits. Those toolkits are what the industry uses. And if you have any exposure to those toolkits, even brief ones, even if you have a higher level understanding of what that toolkit looks like, it helps. It helps tremendously in terms of jump starting as soon as you walk into the industry to say, well, I've used this particular toolkit. So there's one with AWS, there's another one with, next one, please, Google, and there's one with, Microsoft Azure as well, next one. And there's also some NVIDIA, next one, please, with those. These are all different toolkits based on their code, their libraries, their capabilities, right, that you can leverage very, very easily to build and to create in terms of what you want to do. Next one. Watson also has this. Watson has something very interesting called Watson Assistant. It's a beautiful toolkit that actually, I'll give you a very interesting example of this particular toolkit. You can take this lecture that I gave you today, feed it into the Watson Assistant. You have a recording of it, feed that entire lecture to the Watson Assistant. Go pick up some of my quotes from the newspapers or the magazines or the blogs and the articles that I've written. Feed all of that into Watson Assistant, right? And then what Watson Assistant does is something very dramatic. What it does is it analyzes all of this information. It analyzes my speech, my writings, my public capabilities that I have shown, my videos that you have fed, and it creates a map of what do I care about. So if you looked at that particular map and understood what I care about, it would take you no more than 10 minutes to actually have a conversation with me that is meaningful to both you and me. That's absolutely stunning and amazing. Do the same thing with your chairman. He's accomplished, he's distinguished, he's spoken at many places. Next time you want to walk into the chairman's office and you want to ask for something, if you can frame that conversation in less than 3 minutes for the chairman, would that be impactful? Yes? Would that be impactful? These are some amazing capabilities these tools provide. What I need you to do is be curious, be inquisitive. Go learn, go figure this out. Right? Next. Of course, you can use this for some novelty as well. ChatGPT, Cleverbot, DeepArt, doodles, memes, all of those things that we've all seen. Next. Here are some interesting challenges associated with AI. Deepfakes. Deepfakes are really dangerous. Deepfakes can create, there was actually recently a very deepfake that was circulated that actually spoke in Joe Biden's voice and said something that Joe Biden never said. So what they did was they fed a text message, Joe Biden's voice samples, and now it could generate new content in Joe Biden's voice, and there was an audio message. That's dangerous. Right? So these are some things that AI, if you use technology for the wrong purpose, that also happens. Ethical considerations, bias. Bias is a huge topic of research in AI today. What creates bias? Come on guys, wake up. What creates bias? Yes?
Personal experiences and whatever biases that we already have in our according to us gets incorporated into the AI model that we are currently developing.
Fantastic. Right? Human bias that we have, conscious or unconscious, we have both types. A conscious bias is because of our upbringing, our training, or things that's a conscious bias. Or sometimes our gut instinct tells us to be biased in a certain way. That's a conscious bias. Then there's an unconscious bias. The unconscious bias is, something that we don't know we have, but that has an impact on the society, right? That can translate into machine learning models as well. So on that machine learning models, that could be really dangerous if artificial intelligence was biased. If you started to racially profile all black men who walk on the street, like we do today as humans, if a machine started to do that, that could be extremely dangerous. Because now, after that, there is no point of no return, right? So, things like discrimination. How do you build transparency into this? How do you build accountability, and how do you build regulation? So these are different challenges, and there's a lot of research, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of work going on in this particular area. You can pick up any one of these topics and be a hero, really, because it requires thought. It requires analysis, it requires experience, and it requires, something that's only a human possesses, a moral compass. A machine doesn't possess a moral compass. That's a big difference between a machine and a human. I think the chairman said it, compassion. The word that he used was compassion. Who has that compassion? A human has that compassion, a machine doesn't. So that's only a human can influence and change. Next one. All right, so this is very, very briefly about a project, and I'm going to wrap it up in less than 2 minutes. It's something that I've been working on called autonomous infrastructure. When you build an autonomous infrastructure, you need to analyze a whole host of data associated with that infrastructure. So first you analyze, then what you do is you do something called, next one, you do something called automation, hyper-automation. So what is an autonomous infrastructure? Zero touch, zero deployment, operations, and it's self-configuring and self-managing infrastructure. That's what I really do for a living. That's part of my job. Next one. So what you do is first you automate. You instrument, you automate. When you automate, then you analyze, and you apply AI to that. And then you use autonomy and governance to actually build it. Next one. So what we do is we do this work in terms of the infrastructure management closed loop, where you can drive those decisions to actually start with observe, analyze, react, and then change, right? So you create a complete closed loop. And then you apply intelligence to that particular model. That intelligence gets distributed, and that now you're able to actually intelligently operate an environment where you can build elastic infrastructure. You can, anytime there's no requirement, suddenly the infrastructure grows. Then the requirement goes away, it shrinks. So you can create that level of elasticity in terms of that particular infrastructure. Next. And then you can do, and the only way that's possible is automation. So one of the things that I'm going to tell you as school graduates or school students is focus on learning how to automate tasks. Whether it is code generation tasks, whether it is business operation tasks, whether it is, infrastructure management tasks. If you learn automation, that's your key to success in terms of being a better data analytics guy, being a better data science guy. Next, or girl. We'll skip this one next. So I think we spoke about most of these use cases in terms of predictive analytics, self-organized networks. These are the areas that I've been working on: self-organized networks, self-tuned, infrastructure and campaigns, AI-assisted customer service and bots, DevSecOps, traffic security planning, right? Automatic network configuration, and those type of things. So these are the areas of my work. So if any of this interests you, feel free to reach out to me. Next. Let's switch. So one important topic that we need to think about, next one please, is autonomy and governance. How do you provide autonomy, and what's the level of governance you need in the kinds of data? Your chairman really said something really important. It's your mind can think and go anywhere. You need to figure out, sandbox it, and what happens to the mind, you can think about something, but that's really, it stays with you until you act upon it. It's really critical for you to understand that. You can think about any kind of thought, good, bad, worse, brilliant, but it still stays in your brain. It doesn't go out. Once you start to act on that thought, then now it's applicable to the rest of the society, to the rest of the universe, to the people around you, to your ecosystem, right? Now, how does a machine, what level of control or governance do you provide to that machine so that that can now have an action or capability, right? And an impact in terms of the action. So to do that, we look at business operations, service operations, resource operations, and think about what frameworks can we create. And how do you create that particular framework so that you can provide the right governance? Next one. And you can understand what's the level of autonomy that you want to provide to those machines to operate. Remember, I told you my project was intelligent autonomous infrastructure. I want to know what level of autonomy do I want to provide to that particular infrastructure so that it can take its own decisions and act and react the way it needs to. And it's important because I can't let it go rogue. I can't let it use maximum amount of electricity and draw power from everywhere. I have to provide certain rules, certain parameters, certain governance, certain sandboxes. Next one. So we have this particular cycle in terms of how we can create AI-driven operations, smart operations, and monitoring and event management, one of the big areas of work is around energy savings in terms of AI. There's a project called Kepler. If you remember something from this lecture, notice that particular project in terms of how you do analysis of data and information to provide better infrastructure that provides power savings. If you save 10% of the power, 20% of the power in terms of data centers, how much impact does it have on the society? Next. So what's the future? Where does this lead to? Lots of questions, maybe not as many answers. I expect you to go discover those answers for all of us. Where's the conscience? Where's the ethics? Where's the morality? Where's the autonomy? And what level of governance do you need? These are big questions. While there's technology, there is research. Technology can be used the right way to the betterment, and technology can be used the wrong way. The example the chairman gave you in terms of what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Palestine. It's being used the wrong way. So we need to think along those lines. And I would urge you, especially all those seniors, the 30 students, to think about if you want to go into public policy at some point in the future. What would you advise if you had, the minister's ear for 10 minutes? What would you say? Think. I need you to think. Next. So we see a host of benefits. We see different use cases, particularly in the area of cybersecurity, fraud prevention, fraud detection, quality control, public safety and security. All of these places AI can help, and there's absolutely huge potential to tap. So congratulations to all of you who are doing programs in this space. Really, this is the future. That's what you're really going after. I need you to pay attention. I need you to learn, and I need you to actually do something for the sake of, for the betterment of your colleagues, for the betterment of people who come behind you. There are different areas that's being applied to in terms of manufacturing, cybersecurity, quality control, climate and environmental problems. We all saw that, and energy consumption. What should be the governance and what should be the policy for a country like India? You can come up with that answer, and that's where I think Uday is going to, take over. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Really.
Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your insightful session. Your presence has indeed elevated the significance of our event and left an indelible mark on all of us. Now we are proceeding for a 10 minutes quick tea break. I would request all the students to remain seated, and we will be resuming shortly. Attention, everyone. Welcome to a visionary journey through the India AI startup landscape of 2023 and beyond, where innovation meets opportunity, shaping the next decade of technological transformation. Join me in welcoming Shri Uday Raghunath Birje, sir, co-founder and director of Think Street Technologies. I would kindly request sir to share his insights with us today. Let's have a huge round of applause for Shri Uday Raghunath Birje, sir.
Happy afternoon. So, how many of you were at the G20 summit that we did just, I think, 3-4 weeks back? How many of you were there? Quite I think just a few hands. So, I guess the entire institution was not there. So, I came prepared to speak very less. Normally I steal everybody's time, but this time I don't want to steal anybody's time. And also Azhar has another appointment, so he wants to leave in, I guess, less than 20 minutes. But I wanted to engage him in one conversation, for which I have some slides. And see, in fact, almost the last 10 days I have been on the road. I spent almost about 5 days in IIM Shillong. You know, Shillong, very beautiful place. IIM Shillong is also known as the campus in cloud. So it reminded me like, the cloud and AI and things like that. And so for me, it was a big learning exercise being there in the campus, interacting with the students, the faculty, because you have nowhere to go. So we used to, all the days it was mostly spent with the students and some luminaries who came from outside, startups and innovators, as well as industry people, and few startups who were doing work in the tribal segment, okay, among the tribals. So that was last week, and actually, that was last week. And the last week, just before Vijayadashmi, I was part of the AI conference that we did in Bangalore. The first Gen AI conference that we did in India, I would think, in Bangalore. And there also we had some excellent speakers, but mostly they were Indian, I should say. And I think you are extremely lucky to have somebody who is not only a global Indian, but also a global chief technologist like Azhar Saeed. I don't think I have heard any other speech as enlightening, as insightful as somebody like Azhar he talked about in the last 1 hour or so. You're extremely lucky, I would say. In fact, Azhar kind of people, I know so many of them, more in official terms, like, but many people would not want to come and, spend so much time. I really thank Azhar for spending almost more than 24 hours. And he just landed early morning yesterday at 2 a.m. And he's always there to help, India. In fact, let me also tell you some secret. I travel all around the world. I travel to almost about, in the last 30 years, I may have visited about 45 to nearly 50 countries. And everywhere I have some friend or the other, either an ex-colleague or a family friend. In the US, lots of them, okay? I never stay in anybody's house. Not because I don't like their hospitality or whatever it is, but I am by nature, I don't really want to trouble their family life, and that's it. But the only exception I took was staying with Azhar 10 years back in his house. And I thought that was a blessing to stay with him and his family, and his son was playing with robots, who was just, I think, 9 or 10 years old that time. And what struck me was, in fact, my sister also lives there. And what struck me when I visited his house was 2 flags. In his main, I would say, drawing room, 2 flags, one American flag and an Indian flag. I think, that's the Indian spirit which always lives wherever you are. And I really humbled by that, because many people I see, mostly they are displaying their American flags or British flags or whatever it is. There's nobody as much Indian as he is. In fact, I want to take ownership of him because he's from South India, he's from Hyderabad. So that is something which I'm really proud of. So I have a message for you which is all AI generated. In fact, this is a company, I will talk about that.
Dear friends, as you embark on your spiritual journey, let me impart 3 timeless principles from Vedanta. See the oneness in all diversity, for God resides in everything. Conquer your mind, and you shall conquer the world. Fear not, for you are infinite, immortal, and divinely blessed. Embrace these profound truths, and witness the transformation within you.
So this company, Imverse AI, is actually based in Nagpur, in Maharashtra. And they, I think, run a service where you're immortalizing, self-immortalization. So you become a legend, and then after you pass away, you can run this kind of a service, or you can, circulate these kind of your teachings or whatever you learned. It could be a professor or whatever it is. All of us know in some ways so AI helps you become immortal. Okay, and this, I saw quite a number of videos from this company. They are based in Maharashtra as well as in the US, and they have immortalized quite a number of teachings and speeches and inspiration from people like Neil Armstrong, J.R.D. Tata, so many other people. So I just picked up this one, which is sort of apt for VIPS, and my intention is to build an ecosystem in top-class institutions like VIPS, build an ecosystem with companies like this, because they should not only inspire the youth like you, but also they should give you ideas to generate more innovations, maybe based on this or more such ideas. So that is what I'm going to spend a few minutes around that, okay? Most of it, in fact, all of it, Azhar has covered in detail. The way he is, as a distinguished global chief technologist, I don't think anybody can do anything better than what Azhar has done. But what I am going to do is just maybe summarize the learnings from my last week's experience with mostly Indian folks who gave a talk at the NASSCOM's AI Confluence. That will be the next few slides, the summary around that. And I will also talk about what are my thoughts for VIPS. So that's why I made Azhar stay back so that he can contribute to that. But you should, again, you must be lucky. Did you see the hype cycle that Azhar showed? That is like almost like a bell curve or whatever. The hype cycle, how many of you really noticed and, captured the points in the hype cycle? Yes. I think if you look at that hype cycle, I think somewhere, not even at the peak, somewhere slightly below the peak is where AI or Gen AI is. Internet was much below that when me and Azhar and of course a number of colleagues from my teams architected the first ever internet network for the country. And he used to be in US, and we used to go all around the country, meeting customers, meeting telecom players like VSNL, BSNL, Tatas, and many customers like Maruti, Konkan Railway, the telcos, IIT Kharagpur. So we used to go around. So he used to be visiting India, though he was always based in Boston. And that is the contribution of Azhar. Why is it relevant? But because you heard from a visionary, and me and Azhar, before we set up this, we said, let us redo this magic for artificial intelligence in India. That is what we thought, and that is our mission here. And we chose two institutions. One is a government institution, IP College. Yesterday we spent some time with the girls of IP College, and I did not think of any better college than VIPS. I think last time I made a statement, Swami Vivekananda set up Indian Institute of Science. You know that? I think I spoke about this in the G20. Yes, right? And I don't see any reason why VIPS cannot be the IISc of New Delhi. It can really be a global, I would think, institution which can make an impact as big as what IISc is doing. It has everything. It has the inspiration. It has the, inspiration from a very inspiring founder, a great team, great set of students, great, fantastic infrastructure. So that's why I said this is the right place to expose Azhar to. And if you see this is almost, 25 years back picture. Did you recognize two of us? Huh? Extreme right, and I mentioned this, and Azhar sitting, and this is where, after this launch, we got the deals at VSNL to set up India's first internet network. Okay, so the first mail, it was, I think Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister at that time. The first emails that went on the network happened because of the work that we did. Okay, and in fact, for me also, it was possibly a beginning sitting with such a distinguished set of leaders. Somital, anybody recognize Somital? He is the CEO. He was the CEO of DEC. Then he became CEO, president of NASCOM. Then my Asia Pacific boss in the center, John Winchester. So this is the contribution that we have made, and Azhar has been part of that, and it continued for quite a number of years until he left my second company, that was Cabletron Systems, and then he continued in my competing company, that is Cisco Systems. Everybody knows Cisco, right? Yep. So you heard everything that Indians and India can do from a person who has already contributed. So that is something. So let's give him a big round of applause for whatever enlightening thoughts that he has shared now. Thank you, sir. Okay, so I found this. In fact, somebody at the AI conference made a similar quote. You know, only if you have the capability to imagine, you can make the impossible possible. If you can't even imagine, then there is no question of solving any problem. Okay? I found this. I think if you see, history has proven that those who dare to imagine the impossible are the ones who break all human limitations. And I think this is very relevant with I would say, ethical ways of using artificial intelligence. Of course, you can break limitations in the negative sense as well, but I think if you can really imagine how you can solve problems, if you can imagine what India will be 10 years from now, you can break all the inhibitions and make that possible. And I was also blessed, you know, do you know where Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam breathed his last? Do you know where? Huh? Correct. I was really blessed. I knew that he passed away in Shillong, but his last speech, last breath was at IIM Shillong campus. And I went to that place, really, I mean, a fitting, I would say, I don't know what to say, but a fitting last breath for him in such a place, beautiful place, Abdul Kalam. So there are so many books, Wings of Fire and all. Please do read that, okay? So this is actually a summary of what I learned. I think, no doubt, Azhar has gone a lot more into the detail. So generative AI is more about, the focus here is on data, compute and skills. There is no option. You could be just an electrical engineer, or somebody, your alumni could be just an electrical engineer or just a computer engineer who's just passed out a few years back. There's no option, but you have to do reskilling. And so many workers in 10 years, people would have joined today. So 10 years from now, whether they are working in Maruti Udyog or Vodafone or somewhere, no option but to do some reskilling. Because AI is going to, if I may call, hit them. If you don't reskill, I think, God help you. So Gen AI, this is the word that I repeatedly, almost there were about 20 speakers at the last week's conference, in Bangalore. Almost everybody used this word, democratization of AI. Do you understand the meaning? Democratization means everybody has a say in what AI can do with Gen AI. Okay, this is the word. I found that very simple and fantastic to understand the impact that AI has, which is now possibly, the Gen AI. Innovation through experimentation. We heard, you saw the quote from imagination, experimentation. That's what is important. I always tell the startup founders that solve problems that you have experienced. When you experience any problem, and if you go on a journey to solve that, you are 100%, there's a very good chance, almost 90% plus chance of solving that problem. Okay, so this is a list. I will, the last one is another one which was mentioned. Many companies asked, sir, how can what will be the impact if I don't use AI? So somebody made a very nice statement. How many of you heard of a company called Kodak? Kodak, right? I don't think does it exist at all? Yeah, it went bankrupt some time back. So they said, be prepared to face the Kodak moment, which is like, you'll be gone. You won't see the company, somebody will acquire you as a scrap or, something like that. That's what happened to Kodak. They never went up that, whatever the technology curve. They left it for companies like, even Apple and Sony and everybody else got into digital cameras and they were left. Though I am a wildlife photographer, beautiful pictures came out of those age-old rolls, the camera rolls. Okay? So I mentioned that the last one point, Gen AI is in the same phase. So you are not late. Before, just think of the Kodak moment, whether you are a student or as a company or as a startup or as an institution as well. Either you join the bandwagon of a bankrupt organization like Kodak, or you start the journey today. That is what my thinking, and that is what Gen AI today is in the same state Internet was in 1990s, which means, but the evolution, the innovation will happen much faster. Now today we are 30 years, right? 2023, we are 30 years since Internet revolution started. No, sorry, I would say this 1990s when I mentioned it is 97, 98 is when we launched Internet in India. So about 25 years. Okay, whereas the same state you will reach much faster with AI. Okay, so I'll come to this. I don't want to go into this because I want Azhar's comment on this. But this video, I think, let me show this video. I don't know, it's not playing. So this is what I thought of in the last couple of days since I, met some, we met some bright students, the girls at Indraprastha College, and then my last 2 weeks learnings at IIM Shillong. I met some very distinguished, not just students. There were some speakers, the Secretary of Entrepreneurship and Skill Development, he was there. And in fact, I interacted with him, and he wants to, collaborate for AI skills as well. So I don't want to go into the detail, but this is the initial ecosystem with the contacts that I have. I said, let us start small and then make it a big ecosystem around VIPs and maybe the entire Delhi. Why should only Bangalore be called the tech capital of India? Even if Delhi doesn't become the tech capital of India or even the number 2 or number 3, VIPS can create its own vibrant ecosystem. That was my thought. And all these companies in some way are connected. Bhashini, how many of you heard of Bhashini? Very simple, fantastic app by the Minister of Electronics and Telecommunication using AI tools. Voice recognition. Simple, you want to book a gas, you talk in English or you talk in Hindi, the gas booking gets, the gas booking happens. You want to communicate with somebody in Tamil, fantastic. They are having something like 21 Indian and some 8 or 9 foreign languages. Bhashini app, and I met the CEO also. So what I have put here is all the connects that happened and who are willing to collaborate. So we need to put together that ecosystem with all these stakeholders. Okay, and the other imaginate is, how many of you heard metaverse? Metaverse, right? So the Vivekananda speech is a sort of a form of metaverse. So this company, Imaginate, in fact, I told Azhar to meet. This is the company, they founded in Hyderabad, this company. So they are providing skills to all kinds of people, training on newer skills using metaverse. Let's say Maruti is, releasing models almost every 3 months. How do you train all those technicians or, sales people or service people? Not all models are the same. Maybe some parts engine is same, but the cosmetics, the chassis, so many changes are there. So at the pace that they are releasing models, if they want to train, I think these are the best tools that you can use. And still a startup. So in fact, the CEO founder called me in the morning. I told him, I was with him for an entire week in Shillong. He's eager. He said, I also want to tell you, I know I'm looking at that. I also want to tell you that I am Shillong. After me and this person were there, they said, we want to introduce a metaverse course in our curriculum for the MBA students. I don't see the reason why VIP should not do this. Yes, we must do this. So they said, why don't Hemant, his name is Hemant Satyanarayana, he willingly said, I will be happy to come here and, at least take the guest lectures, and then the balance can be, delivered by some of the other professors. We should do that here. Okay, so these are some of the company. Telco Solve, the founder is here. If anybody is coming to IMC tomorrow, the India Mobile tomorrow, he will be there. I have told him also, to be a part of this ecosystem. And then Bashini, I will ensure that the connect happens. India AI and NASCOM. NASCOM has made a beginning in Gen AI with, in fact, they have now whole website or the blog and everything else called NASCOM.ai. And our friend, I only introduced him, Madhav Bisaji, he's also an advisor here. So me and he together will, create some magic with some global help from Azar. Okay, so this is I would say, unstructured plan that I put together. We will keep expanding this ecosystem. Okay, also I want to tell you good news or whatever you talk about. My elder daughter is much ahead of me in AI. Okay, she joined a company which is called Crystal.ai, startup. She joined a company called Crystal.ai. It's Singapore-based, Indian founders, it's a fintech company which uses AI tools to structure your investment plans. Not just for individuals, but for high net worth individuals, companies, investment brokers, everybody. And she works in the company. And the beauty here is, she went against my wish. She got 2 offers during the COVID. One was from Deloitte. Deloitte is like a, 100-year-old company or something. And other one was a startup. She came to me and asked, Papa, I got these 2 offers. What do I do? Papa is, 50 plus, not risk-taking kind of a person, especially for daughter. She said, Kirtana, go and join. I told her, Kirtana, go and join Deloitte. So that, for me, I am also safe, right? I don't have to worry about her job if something happens. After 1 week, she came and said, Papa, I have accepted the offer from Crystal.ai. So this is the next generation thinking. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised, almost all of you make a similar decision. Okay? So this is the next generation thinking. We have started on a fantastic note. Okay, Vijay Dashmi, plus so many things that Azar brings in. I know Azar, I take the liberty of Azar, but I know his commitments. I always take very short and crisp advice and then execute this here in India. I've already spoken. By the way, Red Hat, I already had a conversation. The good thing, all the gray hair is the Red Hat CEO is my colleague, ex-colleague. Azar knows. And the good thing is, NVIDIA CEO is my ex-colleague, Vishal Dupar. Marshall Korea is the Red Hat. Already had conversations with them, so we'll bring them all, create an ecosystem, not just for learning, but to solve problems in the country. So there is, I'll tell you what, I think I made a statement which was Amitabh Bachchan's statement last year when I came for the G20. I don't have that here. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a global chief technologist like Azar. In fact, yesterday I made a statement, my AI engine doesn't have the deep learning capability also. So I am mostly a person who, creates, uses all these technologies and try, to solve problems, build ecosystems, and also connect people and connect, whatever. I'm a networking person. So with that limitations, if I may say, I'm always a big learner. Every day is a learning. So I want to, really a big dream, make VIPS the next IISc of Delhi. This is what I want to leave on. And if Azhar wants to add any other companies to this, if you have any thoughts, why don't you, just parting thoughts before you leave. So.
I'm absolutely honored to be here and be part of this discussion. And I really thank my friend for a long time. And I mean, he's more than friend, he's just his family. My association with him has been more than 30 years. It's been more than 30 years. So I'm absolutely humbled and I'm absolutely honored. And I really want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you to the chairman. Thank you to the staff. So overall, thank you very much, Uday.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I would love to, don't just ping me on LinkedIn. Ping me if you have an idea. Ping me in terms of why you want to connect with me. Just don't say, I want to connect with you, I listened to your lecture. I want to hear from you, what do you have in your mind? Okay? So I look forward to getting all those pings with your idea, with your thinking, why you want to connect. That's what I'll leave you with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Azhar. So I have a few more slides. As I said, I came prepared to speak as less as possible. But I think, can play हो रहा है slides? So पहले से आ जाइए. So I have a few more slides. It's important for me to. So next. Yeah. So just go back to the previous slide. Previous slide. Not this video. Yeah. So I will, show you a few more slides which I skipped because Azhar had to leave. How many are you teaching Industry 4.0 in the institution? Okay. So in the next, maybe couple of semesters later, you're going to talk about Industry 4.0. But at the AI conference in Bangalore, people are already talking about Industry 5.0. Okay, which means that AI is going to play a big role in every part of the industrial sectors. And more so, what is happening in India? I mean, as I said, I sort of cut short my thought process. How many of you are sort of hearing the word of Techade? Do you know the Techade? India's Techade? What is a decade? 10 years, okay. 10 years, my neighbor's 10-year-old daughter also will tell me this. So, but Techade, you go to some of the social media, everybody, all these bureaucrats and in fact now even the innovators, they're all using India's Techade. The next 10 years is going to be a technological revolution in India. And it has started. There is enough proof. We have seen lots of that. I presented that during G20 also. So next 10 years, technology is going to impact every sector. Agriculture to healthcare to aerospace, e-commerce, everything. It has already impacted, but it will go to the next level. What else can it go? It is going to be mostly around AI and Gen AI. So what is I mentioned to you, me and Azhar disrupted the entire network, I would say, infrastructure for the country. From plain and simple, local emails between people. There was some companies like IBM and Digital and HP had emails within us, but there was no connectivity beyond us. There was no internet that time. So we started that. And, and now today internet is I see people sitting in the toilet and, watching WhatsApp videos. That's the impact it has. Am I right or wrong? Huh? I don't know if you youngsters, but it has impacted every, huh? Yes. So I think you have the liberty of doing it in class, not necessarily in the toilet. So, but I see that it's that that type of an impact the internet revolution has had on human life. Same and much more impact is going to happen with AI. Good or bad, I think Azhar talked about the last slide. It's for you to think. The question mark, ethics, compliance, governance, honesty, integrity, everything comes into that. So which means innovation with human consciousness, especially with AI. So this is, I think you will, so India 2.0, which is the India's Techade, is going to see Industry 5.0, which means impact of AI in everything to do with manufacturing, to e-commerce, to services, to marketing, to everything. Okay, next slide, next slide. So this is real. Okay, look at this video. So many of you either have 3 years to complete your graduation, and some of you will choose masters, which means 3 plus 2, another 5 years. And some of you, even if you don't choose masters, 3 years or 2 years, you will be out looking for a job, or you will be working for a company which will have almost this kind of an environment, which is what I told you, Industry 5.0. And this is an Amazon warehouse. Everything is managed. Amazon is using 40,000 robots in all their logistics centers. And they are doing that even in Bangalore, which is, they have one of the logistics centers. And of course, right now it is in a pilot stage, but you know, in these days, pilot to reality, it happens within less than a year. Which means you will be, have you heard of bots? How many of you heard of bots? What is it? What does bot mean?
Basically, they send automated messages depending on your answer.
No, what is a bot? AI what?
Specific AI.
Yeah, so in general terms, bot means a software robot, right? So we are all used to humans as our colleagues. Your colleagues will not necessarily be humans. Your colleagues will be bots. Software robots, as well as some of them will be hardware robots. There will be MBAs, there will be MTech engineers, there will be all kinds of educated people or experienced people or skilled people who will be managing a floor with only robots. Think about this. This is reality. It's not any fairy tale story or whatever, and this is already there in Amazon in one of the logistics centers in US. Okay? So the next slide, please. So Azhar talked about, I think he did not give some of the names of the tools, but these are the tools. I am still primitive. I am just discovering ChatGPT. But I know all of you must be using, how many of you are familiar with some of these tools? The same tools or different brand names? Same. Fantastic. In fact, I regularly, mentor so many startups, and for me it was like a awakening. He had made a beautiful company video, means like a 1-minute video of his company profile. I asked him, hey, how, and just one day before he said, sir, my video is not ready. And next day he came for the meeting with the video. I asked him, how did you make it so soon? He said he used one of the AI tools. That's the power of AI, which is used positively. Okay, next slide. So, in many ways, if you see this, I would say the curve, technology curve, right from the last, I would say, the 50, 60 years, AI is not new to India or new to the globe. You see this, in 1997, Deep Blue, which is one of the supercomputers of IBM, defeated Gary Kasparov. Heard of this? How did this happen? Huh? No, but how did this happen? AI, correct. So the AI is not new to India or not new to the world. We are all well versed. But what is happening today is things like Gen AI, which is getting into deeper and more easier or democratization of artificial intelligence that I mentioned. Which means even a common man, see, to use ChatGPT, you don't have to be a computer engineer, right? You can be anything. In fact, you can be just a 12th standard pass to use ChatGPT. That is called democratization of AI. Okay? So this is, as I said, AI is not new to India. And I think in my last presentation at the G20, people have heard of Digiyatra? Huh? How many of you heard Digiyatra? Digiyatra, anybody's experienced? Only ma'am, only sir. Digiyatra, do you know? Anybody knows? No, I don't see any hands at all. Digiyatra is a facial recognition, I would say service or a product or an innovation that has been implemented in about 3 or 4 airports. Okay? You don't need a boarding pass, you don't need a physical paper ticket, you don't even need a mobile phone. How does it happen? Facial recognition. You have to register first with Digiyatra, with giving your facial video image. You just walk through the airport, and then the security doors open for you. Digiyatra. Okay, so it is already there. But what the next level of innovation is going to make a much bigger impact. Okay, next slide, please. And I think there was a survey done. Somebody asked a question, I think Azhar asked a question. Do products and services using AI have more benefits than drawbacks? Can you see the first 3 things? Huh? China, Saudi Arabia, India. The survey said it has more benefits than drawbacks. When bank computerization happened about 25 years back, I was a part of that. We implemented many branch networks. In fact, I have implemented 20,000 branch networks for all the public sector banks. Okay? So they said people will lose jobs, so many things will happen. Nothing happened. So AI also, I think in general, the feeling is it will create more jobs. And reskilling will happen, but there won't be much job loss. Okay, next slide. So I think next slide. So Bhashini, I would urge you to do some research on Bhashini, but this is a summary. So this is connecting people irrespective, it's like what they're calling it, linguistic inclusivity. Irrespective of the language, you're still connected. In Delhi, every South Indian is called a Tamilian. Madrasi hai kya tum bolte hai? I am from Bangalore. The general feeling is that. So if you think about it, if I meet somebody in the northern region, they start talking in Tamil, I may not understand. I understand Kannada, I understand Marathi, English, Hindi, whatever. So this is Bhashini, a fantastic facility, and they are willing to collaborate so that you can solve some problems across the country just based on this speech recognition. Okay, next slide please. Skilling for AI. Okay, I gave you some flavor of what I met Shri Atul Kumar Tiwari ji, IAS, who's the secretary for Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. They want to collaborate with institutions, they want to collaborate with companies to solve India's problems on how we can skill more number of people, whether it's an engineer or on the rural side or students or whatever it is. So I mentioned already, we need to create that ecosystem where we can solve problems through bright minds like yours. Okay, next. So how many of anybody from the semiconductor batch or not yet? Ma'am, you are not at, you have the 60 people? but none of them are here. So right now the biggest revolution or biggest, I would say, buzz going on in the industry is the semiconductor strategy that Prime Minister Modi has laid out for India. Right now, India is importing almost about 45 to 50 billion dollars worth of chips from mainly from China and Taiwan and maybe some American companies. And in 5 years from now, that 45 to 50 billion, the way we are growing, is going to go up to 80 billion if we continue. But these companies are going to set up semiconductor plants in India in major cities. So Micron, do you see Micron? In fact, I sent to Vinitji. Micron, the first chip out of Micron, the plant in Ahmedabad, near Ahmedabad in Gujarat, is going to come out next year. So I talked about bots, right? You heard about the bots? Foxconn has something called as the Fox bots, which means they work with a set of robots which are called Fox bots. So India being a greenfield implementation, the same thing is going to come into all the plants that these people are going to set up. Which means you need to be your engineers, the semiconductor engineers, VLSI engineers, or even some of the other engineers whose skills will be required in these kind of plants. You need to be prepared for that. Okay, next. I already talked about that. Any other... So maybe I think this is the last, last but one slide. Yeah, last but one slide. Maybe we can, have some interaction as to what else would you like to see in AI? Any feedback, anything? Can you pass the mic so that we can wrap it up with some, we can note down some feedback and then anything? Anybody wants to, anything that you want to see? Since we could not have a big interaction with Azhar, can you raise your hands, please? Anybody wants to give a feedback, any thoughts on what you would like to see on AI? Ma'am, somebody can note down so that we know we can. Yes? Any feedback?
Sir, I would like the health system be modernized, I guess, to an extent that doctors don't have to do everything, all of the work, all of the tests that can be happened with AI, that can be done with AI. For example, blood sugar test.
Yes.
Team of 3 to 4 people is like departed for that, and AI can really help in that. They can really tell whether the sugar level is above the margin or not. So I would really like that.
So basically what you're saying is you would like to see big problems in the healthcare sector being solved with AI. Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on a project as well.
Fantastic. I think that is something I'll keep in mind. If if that can be mentioned in your feedback form, we will ensure that we include healthcare in the some healthcare projects.
It's a leading department in our whole world, as a matter of fact.
Sorry?
So it's a leading area in our whole world that will always be developing.
Absolutely. Healthcare is, in fact, I would say, lacking in technological advancement, especially in India or in many countries.
It's more of a manual job, so yeah, to some extent.
True. So we will keep that in mind. Okay, healthcare. What else? Any other feedback? Anybody? Yep. I'm seeing people raising hands for feedback form, is it, or what is it? Any other feedback you want to give? Okay, I think it's coming to the closure. So thank you very much, and I'm hoping that VIPS will be one of the leading AI ecosystems in the country, because you have all the capabilities, the infrastructure, the support from the management, and everything that is required to make it a vibrant ecosystem. And look forward to engaging with you as we move forward and build this ecosystem. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would request Honorable Vice Chairman Vineet Vatt, sir, to felicitate our Honorable guest Vijay Naresh Chatwani, sir, Founder CSC Faridabad. I would request, sir, to please come up on the stage for the felicitation.
So, as we draw the curtains on this enlightening symposium on the artificial intelligence in India's decade, it's an honor to express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers for the day, Shri Azhar Sayyed sir in his absentia, and Shri Uday Birji sir, and our guest for the day, Shri Vijay Naresh Jitwani ji. Your presentation have not only been rich in information, but were also profounding and inspiring, leaving a lasting inspiration on all of us. Our special thanks to the management of VIPS for their support and for making this event possible. As we bring the symposium to a close, I want to thank everyone and for the participants and the entire WIPS community for making this event successful. There's a beautiful saying, technology empowers us, but it's our humanity that will define us. That is, this quote reminds us that while technology, including AI, empowers us, but our human values and ethics are what will define how we use this technology. I'm sure all of you might have watched the movie Robot. Have you watched the movie Robot? There was a robot named Chitti. Chitti, na? When it was produced, it was a good robot behaving how his master liked. But as human empowered the bad intentions in it, what it started doing? What it was doing then? All the destructions. So that is a human mind. That are we behind this technology will tell how to use this technology. And these were the words of the Honorable Chairman sir today in the morning. And he said that we have to use this technology in a positive manner. With this note, I would like to thank all of you. Thank you, sir.